Yeah.
Definitely.
Can only go up from there, dude. And honestly,
Yeah.
all great entrepreneurs start their business out of their car, out of their garage. Like they just get nitty and gritty with it, and they get out there and hustle. So,
Yeah.
so what can I help you out, or what can I help you with? Like, what are your biggest pain points to get you to that next level? Hey, what's up, brother?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I was gonna actually, I was writing down some notes before the thing started. I know we said at 6, but yeah, it's okay.
Oh, cool. Hey, we could wing it.
Questions, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I saw you were in the waiting room, so I was like, "Well, I'm already in here," so I figured I'd hop or bring you in. Cool, man. Thanks for jumping on and asking questions. I mean, obviously, we do this to help the community, so maybe just give like a short snippet of who you are, where you're at, and so that way the viewers can know.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So my name is Caleb. I started a lawn care landscape maintenance business 2 years ago, March 2021, during COVID. So yeah, that was kind of tough, but did that because I just knew it was for me, pretty much. I didn't want to work for a company anymore. Um, so yeah, being in year two, we currently have two trucks. One guy, we have one other employee right now, and then we also have me. So we both work in the field quite a bit. He works more in the field than I do uh, by a little bit. Um, he's mainly doing a lot of the push mowing, uh, any kind of extra work that I can't get to. Uh, but we are looking to hire an extra person possibly. So I was going to ask you about that, but we'll get into that later. Um, yeah, right now I think we're about to we this will be our first month at 20,000. Uh, so
Let's
yeah,
go.
that's yeah, I think we are going to hit 20,000. I'm pretty sure for this month. So pretty exciting. But
That,
yeah,
that's
um,
awesome.
growing growing super fast. We've gained over 90 clients the past 2 months, so pretty exciting.
In reoccurring revenue,
Yeah, yeah, recurring revenue, all
awesome.
recurring. So
Really
that's
good.
like, yeah,
Really
that's
good.
spraying, that's mowing, um, bed maintenance too. We do like a monthly bed maintenance as
Yeah.
well.
So
Yeah.
cool. So are you're licensed then too?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
go, dude. You're crushing it.
Yeah.
How old are you?
Yeah. I'm 21.
21, dude.
Yeah.
You're like my buddy Gabriel, man. You guys are out there young and crushing it, dude. I mean, you're on that path. So
Yeah,
that's good.
well, I know you watch I seen you on Mike Andes, but it's kind of where I got the inspiration to do this was from Mike Andes. I remember just seeing a video out of the blue and it really inspired me to go ahead and try it, start out. Funny enough, I started out of a Nissan Maxima. I would throw a push mower in the back and weed eater and everything, and that was pretty miserable. But I mean, you had to start somewhere. So, but yeah, it has come a long way from that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Can only go up from there, dude. And honestly,
Yeah.
all great entrepreneurs start their business out of their car, out of their garage. Like they just get nitty and gritty with it, and they get out there and hustle. So that's really good.
Yeah.
So what can I help you out, or what can I help you with? Like, what are your biggest pain points to get you to that next level?
Um, well, really to get me to the next level, it's actually a great question. So I guess it would be like closing on jobs. Um, I want to have a higher close ratio to grow quicker. Um, I think right now we're at about 45%, 50% close ratio. Um, I want to get that to about 60%, maybe 65%, because we really just want to grow super fast right now. Um, not been able to hit that. We do a lot. We do callbacks with like follow-ups. We have an email automation, text automation as well. I text them. I do like a lead letter. So I'll write a letter and I'll mail that to them actually as well. So we do a lot of stuff to follow up with the customer, but I feel like it's just not enough maybe, but maybe I'm overthinking it possibly.
What are you? What is your hourly rate right now?
So for mowing, $70 an hour, and then for landscaping, it's $65 an hour per man hour.
Okay. And then are you like us to where you require them to have the mowing in the weed control, or do you just do mowing? Do you offer just that by itself?
We offer it by itself. So yeah, they could do that separately if they like. But we don't have many customers that do that. We maybe have like 8 customers, 10 customers that only do fertilizer weed control as
Yeah.
of right now.
Do you have for your mows? Do you have one mow schedule to where they have to conform to that, or do you offer weekly and or biweekly?
So yeah, it's weekly and bi-weekly only.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah.
And which market are you in?
Close to you guys. I know you guys are in Aubrey or Salina, I think. We're over in Anna, Melissa, McKinney area.
Gotcha, gotcha. And you guys,
Yeah.
do you have a lot of HOAs over there and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, it's all HOAs. We
Okay.
only do lawns under 10,000 square feet.
Yeah. Okay. That's perfect. I was just trying to get context of that question. Okay. So the question is how to increase the close ratio. That's a really good question. So our close ratio has gone down from last year, and we're basically charging the same prices, right? So I think, I mean, this is kind of like a horrible answer, but I think like there is, and it sounds like, I mean, as long as you're doing what you need to do of like um, setting up automations, they're getting an email. Are you texting them or just sending an email?
It's both.
Okay, so you're doing both, and then you're doing a follow up phone call like within so many days. How many? So when you do that follow up phone call, let's say you go out and quote a job for mowing. How soon are you doing a follow up call for like mowing services?
So, well, it depends because I do work outside a lot still. So if I get back at let's say 5 or 6, it can be kind of hard to call back a whole bunch of clients that I'm working out estimates for.
Mhm.
Um, so I want to say, wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I kind of I kind of forgot what your question was. I was like in the middle of thinking something. What was it again? I apologize.
So I'm trying to figure out because mowing, it's like they're probably calling one or two other companies. Like they're going to book with somebody within 72 hours. So like my I'm trying to figure out like that follow up phone call. Is it within for the for mowing services? Is it within 72 hours? Do you think, or is it
Oh
longer
yeah.
than that? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, so honestly, I mean, you're doing everything that you need to. We've seen a drop off on our close ratios from last year. I think, and this is why what I was prefacing earlier is like this is gonna be a horrible answer, but I think the economy right now does have some play with that because literally last year, dude, we were freaking slammed, man. Dude, people were just paying money left and right for this stuff. And then like this year, things. I mean, we tweaked a few things in our business, but yeah, we've seen a big drop off too. So I would just stay really consistent with that. You know, and yeah, I mean you're doing everything that you need to have that high close ratio. I think the economy is playing a little bit of a part in that, but that's like a horrible answer. But I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
we're experiencing the same thing. So
Yeah, and I kind of figured a little bit too. Compared to the past 2 years, it's yeah definitely dropped off.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, it's been interesting, but still overcoming and getting tons of work regardless. But definitely would
Right.
like it to be a little higher. It is what it is.
Yeah, if to be honest, I mean, and here's the other thing too, because I was asking you like what you're charging. I think $70, $65, that's a fair price. Especially, I mean, we're in Texas, right? That's all day. Like people will definitely pay that. If you really want to increase your, here's the other option which I didn't actually give you. I would stick with those prices, but if you really want to increase your business, the other spectrum of that is like actually lowering your price. So going down to 60 and then 65 for that other service. But honestly with all the inflation and everything that's already going on, I would not recommend that. That's why I didn't kind of give that option initially. But if you really do want to scale and grow, that is the way to do it. Decrease prices and you're going to squeeze your profit margins down at the bottom, because I mean, even at $65, $70, I mean, there's going to be profit there at the end of the day. But like, yeah, the lower you go on that, the more it's going to get squeezed. But it's all everything that it depends on what you're comfortable with doing. Our second location that we're starting off in Salina, so we're starting off because we want to grow and scale really quickly. All of our services are going to be 65 an hour, outside of like the weed control. So we double that for weed control. So it would be 65 times 2 is 130. So we charge 130 an hour for fertilizer weed control. That basically just covers like your material costs and all that other stuff. But yeah, that's what we're doing, and we're kind of testing that theory. I'm actually open to go down to 60 an hour if we could scale quicker. I'm open for that. But yeah, we're kind of testing the theory there too. So.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'd rather keep the price at that. That works out really well for us. We're able to be profitable with that number. Yeah, I don't know about lowering it, but yeah, okay. Well, I guess to kind of segue away from that, at first I was saying I have a hard time answering or being able to call back people super quickly. I can get to them within 3 days, but it can be pretty tough. I wanted to know, should I hire a virtual assistant for maybe handling some of that?
Um, let's see. So you're doing 20,000 a month right now. Let
Yeah,
me see.
with me and one other guy.
What did you do last year?
Uh, that's a great question. I want to say
It could
around
be
this time,
just
maybe I think maybe around 13,000
last year.
for May last year. Yeah,
Okay,
12,
so
13, maybe less than that. I'm not sure. I don't have it pulled up in front of me.
what do you like? And I don't know what you've done up until from January till now, but you said that you're pacing or going to do close to you said 20,000. Um,
We're
I
already
mean,
at 20,000 this month.
okay. I mean, do you think you're on pace to probably hit six figures this year if you're
Oh
already
yeah,
doing
yeah.
20,000?
It's probably going to be between 150 and 200,000 for this year.
150. Okay. Um, that is an option for that type of revenue if you're going to actually do 150 to 200,000. Um, I personally would say I know it's probably super stressful right now because you're the one that's out there potentially in the field half the time or more, and then you have to come back and do office stuff too. Where I'm kind of in the same boat starting the second location. So um, I would say if you could prolong that as long as possible and just still be that one to answer the call. Because like the minute you hire that office staff, and it's weird because like honestly 150, I think that kind of like you as running the location in your business and everything, I really think you're able to answer a lot of those calls. I think once you get probably to that 200 mark and above, that's when it starts to become like, okay, I really need to probably hire at least maybe like a part-time, even if somebody comes in maybe 1 or 2 days a week to answer the calls, right? And answer the emails to take off of your plate. But at that point you would want to scale up to probably like that 300 plus.
So
Going that
I
route.
actually I actually meant virtual assistant, like an online call service like ping callers or
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, that is definitely an option. What's nice about that is obviously you don't have all that extra overhead costs for like office and all of that stuff. Are you like, do you find yourself not having time to answer the calls currently, or like do you miss a lot of them and have to call them back?
unfortunately, yeah, I at times I can miss the calls because I am working outside. I do have AirPods in, but sometimes they'll die and I'll miss calls while I'm working, and I don't like that. So I don't know. I'm in between doing it and maybe not because I could probably write it out until next year, and then definitely gonna need a virtual assistant at that point. But I just want to see what I should do. I don't know.
Yeah, I was the same way, like in the beginning. Like I was really gung ho of like, hey, I don't want to miss any calls, and we're like super on top of like calling them back. Um, currently right now what we're experiencing with our calls, like, so just so you know, so for us, like, they have to have our weed control service to be on our mowing. Like, we don't do anything, and we're getting like a lot of calls of just like those people that are like, hey, I just want a one-time cut, I don't want reoccurring stuff, and we don't even offer one-time stuff. So like, and there's like, out of probably like 5 calls, like 3 of them are like, hey, I just want a one-time service, right? So like, even if in a scenario, because we have one office manager right now, even in a scenario where we miss a call or two and we call them back, like, we're finding that it's a lot of those type of customers. So it's like, because the last 2 months or prior to this, it was all of the people that actually need real reoccurring services. Now it's kind of like those people that are like the late bloomers, the procrastinators, like, they're like, oh, my yard's a foot long. And so that's what we're kind of getting. And then the next stage here in a couple of weeks are going to be, hey, my guy didn't show up. So, because when the temperatures get up into the 90 plus, that's the new wave of people. Those are the calls that you definitely want to make sure that you're answering. So like, I'd say, like, if you're not missing a lot of those calls, what would you say the percentage ratio is, like, that of the calls that you actually answer? Do you say like 80% or like 90% that you're able to answer, and like 10% you're missing, or like, what's that ratio?
I'd probably say 90% answered.
Okay, I would say you're okay this year, probably. Then, if you're able to answer 90% of those calls, um, those that extra 10%, as long as you call them back within an hour or so, or maybe at the end of the day, like, I think that that's good and diligent. And then next year, definitely look at potentially getting into like a call center or something like that, especially for the spring rush, even if it's for just like the 90 days where it gets crazy, you know.
Yeah, that is funny that you say that because all week just been getting calls for one-time mows. So
Right.
yeah,
And so
but
like, it's like, yeah, if you miss one or two of those, I mean, you don't want to assume, right? Every call that comes in is a potential customer, right? But at the same time, it's like, yeah, we're getting hit with a lot of those. So
yeah, yeah, and I kind of figured too. Whenever it heats up, a lot of guys start quitting, so be a rush. Cool, yeah. Um, all right. Well, I have a bunch of questions, but I know we don't have a lot of time. Uh, but I guess something to kind of go away from that. So I do monthly bed maintenance, right? So that includes, uh, you know, shrub trimming, clearing out weeds, blowing out leaves and cleaning them up. Uh, just basically keeping up with their bed year round, every month. I want to know, how do I price that? Because pretty much I've kind of just everything I have everything else that I have for pricing wise, like mowing, I have a rate matrix on Service Autopilot for mowing and the fertilizer weed control. So I have that down, and I generally know how long everything else takes me um, for like mulch and everything. And I'm able to do budgeted hours on those to beat those. Now with the monthly bed maintenance, I have no idea how to price that. I've kind of just had a minimum of $45 and it goes up from there. That's pretty much what I'm doing. So want to know how I could price something like that. Since I know that you do that as well. I know you do like in every 6 weeks, I think.
yeah, so we do every 6 weeks. Or no, I think it's every 8 weeks. Every 2 months. Every 2 months we do it. But yeah, you can do it monthly, or you do it every 2 months. This is a great question. So we went through, and I was stringent about this in the beginning. I'm like, okay, how do we let's time ourselves on all of these bushes that we're trimming. Let's time ourselves on the beds and how much weed, what is the percentage of the weeds, 25, 50%. And like, I did all this math and took all this time, and it really is at the end of the day scenario based. Okay. So when we go out and quote these things, we look at is budgeted time, right? So obviously you've been doing it for a while. You know how long it takes you. You'll get an average with your team members. You're going to be faster than your team members. But what you want to do is get about an average, right? Some people are going to be quicker, slower. And when you go out there, we price them for 2 different things. We price them for an initial cleanup of like, hey, we need to get this thing under control. And then that's completely separate. But what we're talking about is the reoccurring. So now in your mind, you're like, okay, when I come back here 4 weeks from now, it's not going to be that bad. I'm going to be in and out pretty quick. So our minimum, so we charge 80 an hour in Aubrey. And so a lot of our reoccurrings are 1 hour. because they're already under control. We're there every 2 months. We pull the grass and weeds that are there. And so, like, if we're just doing the like just a basic HOA front bed and tree ring, it's a 1 hour minimum, $80. And then sometimes we'll do an upsell for like preen. We'll charge $45 for that. But we know that we can get in and out of there in 45 minutes to an hour. So yours will be quicker though because you're doing it every month. So to me that kind of actually makes sense. You're charging 45 at a minimum, a lot for like the front. That would be what ours is, but we just don't go every month. We do every other month. So it would be basically double yours, which is about $80, or would be 90, but yeah, we charge 80. So, but that's basically, you would want to go out and all you're going to be focused on is the budgeted hours. That's it. Like, you can, like, you sit there and create a pricing sheet and measure out the bed and be like, okay, this is 100 square foot of bed and do all this stuff and it's got 50%. Like, I'm telling you, it's a lot of unnecessary things. You can look at a bed and be like, okay, once I get it under control, I know this will take me roughly about an hour. And at the end of the day, you just have to do it and you'll figure out kind of how long it takes. But when you send those quotes, that's kind of how you do it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm always just thinking ahead, so I'm thinking about how I could train maybe an estimator on something like that, how I could systematize that.
Yeah, I had the same kind of similar question, I think, with Mike or someone else. I think it was Mike that I kind of maybe mentioned to him. And he basically said, like, so I hear what you're saying. You're like me. You're like, right, you're thinking in the future. But at the end of the day, so that estimator, when you pull him up to become an estimator, he's going to come from the field. So he's going to be doing mowing. He's going to be doing bed maintenance. And then all you need to teach him is like, hey, all you need to know is like, the budget amount of time on this. And he's going to be wrong. He's going to be wrong. He's going to quote an hour. It's going to take the guys 2 hours. But he needs to learn from that stuff, right? So he needs to go back and be like, okay, why did that take longer? And then really fine tune and hone in. But as long as like 85% to 90% of the jobs are actually like quoted somewhat accurate, you're good. You're gonna butcher 10% of the jobs. It's just gonna happen. So
Yeah, I think 45 is definitely, I feel like that works out for once a month as a minimum. And then, yeah. All right, that makes sense. Okay. So another thing that I'm having an issue with is first time mows, right? So whenever you set up a client or recurring mowing, um, having an issue with scheduling. So I'll schedule in a fresh mow like for this month, and they just take forever, right? And it's messing up the whole schedule. Um, how do I work with that? I mean, so how my schedule is just for context, we do mowing Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then we do projects and any kind of other extra stuff Tuesdays and Thursdays. Well, at least for my other guy, I kind of just am all over the place. I do a whole bunch of stuff at once, but he's pretty strict on that. He does Monday, Wednesday, Friday mowing, and then Tuesday, Thursday projects and whatnot. With 3 days of mowing only, uh, how do I schedule better? Because it's turning out to, instead of us wanting to work 8, 9 hours in a day, it's turning out he's working 11, 12 hours a day, and I don't know. It's kind of confusing. I'm trying to deal with it.
yeah, so when you do this long enough, so this is your second year, you will know that March, April, May, you're going to get a lot of overgrown fees, or yeah, a lot of overgrown lawns because you're getting new customers. So what you're going to want to do, especially like the first one-time cuts, you're going to want to leave margin for error in your schedules. So I would not, let's say for example, you guys want to work 8 hours. I would not book 8 hours worth of work. I would book probably 7 and know that if everything goes perfectly that day, they'll get off an hour early. But you and I both know that won't happen. The weed eater won't work. They're going to have to come back to the shop. They're going to have an overgrown lawn that day, right? So what you want to do is leave room for error and just margin for error in your schedule, and book a little bit of a lighter day. And that might mean hiring another person. Like, you said you got one employee right now. If you guys are both working 9-hour days on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays plus, like, it might make sense to hire somebody part-time and have them help out on Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays until you get a full kind of work day to kind of put them full-time, you know. But yeah, we do the same thing for our weeks. So for example, we have 5 days in a week. I don't like working Saturdays and Sundays. We never work Sundays, but we don't actually book 5 full days. So we try to book like 4.25 or 4.5. That way, because I know a truck's going to break down. I know a team member's going to be sick. I know something's going to happen, right? There's not going to happen. It's going to rain, obviously, you know. So we try not to book out like our days in week full capacity. We try to book it out to like maybe 85-90% capacity. If that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the only thing is maybe my budgeted hours for mowing is a little messed up. Because I could book, regularly during April, we could book like 9, 10 hours on the schedule. He could get it done in 7.5, 8 hours.
Mm-hmm. So I would say you said that in April. If there's overgrown lawns, it would take longer though, right?
Yeah. But like it was like during that time where like because we had like a kind of a late spring. Um, so like growth wise, um,
Mm.
at least over where I'm at. So nothing was really overgrown until towards the second week of April, right? So those first couple weeks, we were just busting out. Maybe it's because they weren't super overgrown. Maybe that's why. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing too is the temperatures during that time were a lot cooler, little cooler, right, in the mornings. So production's going to go down. So in this June, July, August, just be prepared for this. What they were doing 8, 9 budget hours, it's not going to happen. You're going to lose probably 20% of that production. So just know that if you need to hire a third guy to take off some of that workload, you may have to. Yeah, production rates go down the minute it starts getting above 85 degrees. So we're seeing that with our team right now. Our production, like they're out, like we start at 7, and there's guys sometimes out there till 4 p.m. And that to me is a long day when you're doing that 5 days a week. Like 15, 20 properties almost solo doing that. Like that's a really really long day for them, physically wise. So. But yeah, just understand that as we go into the hotter months. So now I don't know if you're experiencing this, but we're kind of past a lot of the overgrown lawns. I mean, we'll have maybe a couple a week from new customers that we're onboarding, but like we're kind of past that super spring rush at the beginning. But it's not like we're flying through all the properties again just because it is kind of warm. It's getting warm out, so.
yeah, definitely. Um, okay. Yeah, that's something I guess I'll have to work out is working on my budgeted hours and scheduling a little better. Yeah, I definitely think I've been thinking about hiring a second guy because we are super booked. Like me and him are both working every single day of the week, Monday through Friday. So yeah, it's probably be best. Well, I guess something kind of similar to that too is I know. Do you guys only do weekly or do you also do biweekly?
So for our mowing schedule, we only offer weekly during uh, all of May through all of mid October. So all summer we're weekly because all of our customers are on our fertilization and weed control customers or program. So all of our lawns right now are being fertilized, and as long as they're like watering 2 days a week, 3 days a week, like they should, like our lawns are growing like a wildfire right now. So like they really do need to be cut weekly. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of an issue I'm having. I have a lot of lawns that we're spraying and treating that are getting really overgrown after 2 weeks, and it's really hurting our time. And I'm thinking about possibly switching these specific lawns to a weekly schedule. Um, Not sure if I want to switch everyone to weekly necessarily, uh, but yeah. I mean, should I just switch maybe some of these clients that are taking 10, 15 minutes longer than what they're budgeted for? because they're so overgrown, because we're treating it. We just switch them specifically to weekly until, maybe October, November,
Yeah,
or
there's a couple ways that you can handle that. If you're having that, do you have a different price for when they're biweekly, or are they all the same price?
yeah. So I charge 35% more for biweekly.
Okay.
Yeah.
You may want to increase that a little bit. I know
Okay.
we were just talking about close ratios and trying to increase that, but I think what Mike does with Augusta, I think they do like I think they increase it by 50%. Um, which maybe they found that to be the sweet spot. I don't know. I'm not an expert at it because we do biweekly in the spring and the fall, but we don't adjust the price because at that point the grass really isn't growing that fast. So it's kind of like the same time on the property. But what I would do if I were you is just really hone in on those properties that are taking you longer. And if it's a constant thing, I would definitely go in there and potentially increase that price, even if it's like 3 or 4, $5. And the time that you would want to do that is like in a few weeks here when you get up into the 90s, because what's going to happen is if they cancel with you because you're raising your price for $4 or $5, like they're going to try to call all these other lawn care companies and nobody's going to answer the phone because their guys didn't show up. It's 90 degrees. Production rate goes way down. Like I'm telling you, it gets brutal. So if there is a time to raise prices, it's now when it gets up into the 90s. Um, and
Okay.
and you don't like have to do it on all your customers. Do it on maybe 5 or 10 of them and see the feedback. Out of 10 customers that you did, how many did you lose? If you lost only 1 or 2, to me that may make sense if you're upping it $5. But what I would do is really take a hard look at the actual time on the property. Um, and I would fluctuate, like I wouldn't just do it across the board. To me, that wouldn't really make sense. I would actually look into the numbers because you're clocking in and out of every job, right? Through your
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. With the app on Service Autopilot.
Yep. So what you can do is you can search by client and look at the last 5 visits. Okay. And then just see, okay, how many more minutes am I going over? And if it's only 4 or 5 minutes, okay, then increase them $3. If it's like 10 or 15 minutes every property that you're going above, then maybe do a full like $5 or something. Like I probably wouldn't increase it too much, but I think what we did this year was we put a cap on it. We said the most we'll increase is $5. Even if it's some crazy, like we're not making much money on this one, we'll just increase it $5. That'll be the max. Because to me, $5 is not much. Like, but it it adds up when you multiply that by all the customers and
Right.
all the
Yeah,
increases and
exactly.
all the visits too.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I definitely feel like the biweekly price is definitely a little too low. It feels high. Um, but even at 35%, it feels high. But um, I definitely think it would motivate people to go towards weekly instead, for sure. That's the problem with having a lower biweekly price is that they're like, okay, well, this is way cheaper. Um, if it's at 35%. Uh, and if I could raise it to 50% on biweekly, it would definitely cover a lot of that extra time that these lawns are taking during this time of year. So yeah, it's probably something I will end up doing. I've thought about that too because I knew Mike Andes charged 50% more. It's just that jump is a little scary because I do want to close more jobs.
Yeah. And like, but and even too, like the way that you sell it to the customers. So like let's say for example, like $40 for the lawn cut. Well, if it's weekly, it's 160 for the month, right? If you increase it 50%, so that would go from 40 to 60, but you're only there twice. So it goes from 160 to 120, right? It's like they don't have to have one basically visit there. But yeah, I mean it's still cheaper. So
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
definitely.
cool.
Okay.
I've got probably maybe like 4 or 5 more minutes. So are there any like pressing questions that or like anything else that may
Um,
have.
I guess, what do you do about clients that are constantly locking their gate, even after emailing them? So I email within 1 to 2 days of when we're coming every single week, right, for their property. Uh, so they know when we're coming. And I have a lot of clients that still lock their gates, even after knocking and they're not home, uh, calling, nobody can get to it. I mean, what do I do about this? Do I raise their price if they're constantly doing this? Uh,
So so this is how I would handle it, and you may structure yours a little bit differently. So we have set days, so we tell them, or yeah, you said you mow Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So you probably tell them, hey, your mow day is on Wednesday, right? Is that probably what you do?
no, we don't do like a set day.
Okay.
It just depends because we're adding a lot of clients. We try to structure our route as efficient as possible. So the day can change, but it's generally going to be the same day every week. It sometimes it can change
Okay, so
depending.
that's a little bit more tough to do because me as a customer, I'm like, well, I don't know if he's coming on Monday. I don't know if he's coming on Wednesday. They're mostly here on Mondays. Let me leave it unlocked. But like, yeah, that's a little bit difficult to do. The way that we handle it is we tell them what day we're going to be there. Like your mow day is on Tuesdays. Like for sure, we're going to be there. And if we're not, we're going to email you and tell you why, whether it's rain, equipment breakdown, schedule delay, whatever. And so for us, we can kind of stand that ground and be like, hey, it's your responsibility as a homeowner to unlock the gate and give us access to the backyard. Now, if we show up on a property and there's a locked gate, what we do, yeah, we go through the whole system. We ring the doorbell. We do all that. We call the customer on the property, like try to do that. But if we really can't get back there, then we put in the notes, we email them, hey, we couldn't get in there next week, please leave it unlocked. And so what we do is we charge them the same rate. We don't adjust it because even though it was faster today, next visit when we get back there, the backyard is basically going to probably be long and overgrown. So it's going to take them twice as long to mow the backyard. So we don't adjust any of the rates. You can put that on your website, and that way you can at least fall back and lean back on that and say, hey, this is our policy, this is how we handle it. And some customers may not like it, but it's a little bit more difficult when you don't have a structured day for them like that.
Yeah. So how can I get to being able to have a structured day like that? It's kind of hard because I don't know. It could be a little difficult because we want to be as efficient as possible, and every week is kind of different uh, areas. I don't know. It For me, it makes more sense right now just to base the day, like our route, off of the area, right? That's
Mhm.
kind of how I do it. So how can I get towards just having set days like that?
So I think when you're in your growth mode and you're adding so many properties, you're right. It does fluctuate and change, but eventually you're not going to grow like that because you're going to just fill in those areas and you're going to have really good route density. Once you hit that where it starts to plateau a little bit, that's when you may want to flip the switch and be like, okay, let's group this neighborhood, these three neighborhoods on Monday, these three neighborhoods on Tuesday, and then you can start to it'll be more consistent instead of like having all of these new customers on board at once, and then now your routes are kind of all over the place.
So it's just a thing that probably comes with time.
Yeah. I think even in the beginning, we did structure it. Like even so, like the Solano location, we're gonna have one mow day. It's on Wednesday. And I'm gonna be driving all over the place until I can split it and make two mow days. And then from there I would split and make 3 days. So
Interesting. Um, so what are y'all's mow days during the week? Like, how does y'all's schedule structured?
um so we mow 5 days a week. We have three mow crews that go out. Uh and then one spray tech that goes out full time Monday through Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, well, I know you're probably out of time.